The gray steps seemed endless, and the path itself unbearably winding, even though just a few days ago this staircase had looked perfectly safe. Anna was scared, not only because the damn stairs wouldn't end, and not because she had lost count of the steps. Something was wrong with this entire day, probably since early morning. She hadn't fully realized it back then, but now, in the evening after work, the full weight of the world felt like it had collapsed onto her shoulders. The fear was intense and all-consuming. At work, she could still distract her unruly dark thoughts with routine tasks, but on the way home, every carefully combed thought broke loose. The more she looked around, the more the familiar streets lost their shape, turning into a hellish jumble of steel and concrete that never stopped producing deafening clanks, rings, groans, and screams, sounds that merged into something truly horrifying. Trying not to listen to this composition of the living city and avoiding looking at it, Anna walked by touch, by memory. Around her was a chaotic mass of moving, muttering people, their sheer number pressing in on her from all sides as if trying to crush her. Thousands, maybe millions of eyes were fixed only on her as if they had no other choice. They examined her from head to toe, and some seemed to make sarcastic comments, thankfully incomprehensible. Anna wanted to scream, "Nobody asked you!" But the fear of standing out even more clamped her mouth shut. She didn't know and didn't want to know what horrors this crowd might be capable of if she resisted. What if they all attacked her, each one biting off a piece of her body? The thought sent chills crawling over her skin. Closer to home, the human mass began to thin out, first breaking into small groups, then into scattered individuals. But their gazes were still fixed on her, and the surroundings continued to grow more bizarre. Nearby buildings stretched and bent, the sidewalk narrowed and widened, weaving like a drunk man. At every sudden turn, passing human figures seemed to deliberately try to pin Anna, either against a predatory tree stretching its tendrils toward her, or against a brick wall that relentlessly crept closer. Finally, breaking free from the slurping, roaring street, Anna practically ran into the entrance of her building. She pressed the elevator button and waited. Sweat streamed down her face. The fear didn't weaken. After a few seconds, she felt the walls around her begin to slowly crawl inward. The elevator didn't come, and from behind the metal doors, she heard the sound of chains striking stone and soul-tearing moans.
Anna couldn't wait any longer. She bolted for the stairwell door. The simple staircase shifted, becoming spiral-shaped, then absurdly massive as if designed for giants. Each step was higher than the last. The walls melted, and sometimes she thought she saw handprints and inscriptions in her peripheral vision, each one beginning with her name. She didn't want to know what came next. At last, she reached her floor and shoved the stairwell door open. It was empty, and for the first few seconds, everything seemed normal. But after the brief relief, the doors began to double, then triple. The hallway stretched longer and longer, so far she couldn't even see where it ended. Her eyes frantically searched for the right door while her legs refused to move, as if she were chained to the floor. The fear didn't fade. It was joined by a headache throbbing from the strain. Gathering what strength she had left, Anna forced herself forward, searching for the one door she needed. There were every number imaginable, except the cherished 65. Her strength was leaving her when, after yet another 68, she finally found it. The key slid easily into the lock on the first try, and after a couple of turns, she was inside. It felt like the worst was over. She locked the door behind her and leaned against it, catching her breath, ragged and panicked like after a sprint of dozens of kilometers. Only moments later did she notice that every wall was densely covered in black, cockroach-like insects.
There were so many of them that they might have passed for wallpaper if not for their constant, restless movement. Trying not to notice them, Anna went into the room and collapsed into an armchair. Her heart hammered wildly as if it were about to burst from her chest and continue running without her. She closed her eyes, clutched her head with both hands, and curled up in the chair, trying to silence the intrusive thoughts. "Please go away. Please, please, just leave me alone, at least now, please," she whispered. But nothing changed. Casting a hopeless glance around the room, she still saw the insect-covered walls, heard their indistinct whispering and the rustle of their bodies. Staring at them made her nauseous. Staying here was impossible. Rising from the chair, Anna froze for a few seconds, examining her room. It was familiar, yet something felt wrong, as if it wasn't the same room she'd been in that morning, but a set of well-made decorations built in some studio. Perfect replicas, but lifeless, copying her belongings without truly being them. A cold shiver ran through her at the feeling that someone was watching her, conducting some kind of scientific experiment. To escape these thoughts, she went to the bathroom, hoping that if she washed her face thoroughly, the walls of reality would stop closing in on her. But instead of water, real blood poured from the faucet. Screaming, she jumped back from the sink, unable to tear her eyes away from the stream. Forcing herself, Anna tried to shut the tap, but the pressure only increased. In terror, she fled the bathroom. Her eyes darted wildly around the apartment, searching for something stable, something that could anchor her back to the normal world, to stop seeing what the human eye was never meant to see. But her eyes were different. She saw what remained invisible to everyone else, and that ability, which sometimes manifested within her, only made everything worse. The apartment fully warped, becoming a disgusting, inverted copy of itself, just like the world outside. She was scared, she was exhausted, but staying here was no longer an option. The local entities had already sensed an intruder. After struggling to open the door, she found herself on a landing that had lost all normal shape, becoming a long, curved corridor lit by dark red light. She ran past doors, each one marked with her apartment number, and a thought flashed through her mind. What if all these doors are different versions of reality? And if so, is there a normal human one among them? There was no time to think or check. She heard footsteps behind her. At last, she found the doorway to the elevator. She pressed the button and waited. The walls melted, their writhing patterns resembling snakes, creeping closer to her. She didn't want to run down that hellish staircase again. It was obvious things were only getting worse. There was no guarantee the steps wouldn't simply collapse beneath her. The world itself seemed to be trying to erase her. The elevator arrived, and she rushed inside. Only when the doors slammed shut did she notice something standing in the corner, something barely resembling a human. It wore a business suit, but its face looked insect-like. Several small dots for eyes, all fixed on her, and a mouth with two rigid protrusions, like the antlers of a stag beetle, producing a chittering sound, as if trying to start casual conversation with Anna. She turned away, pressing herself against the opposite wall to put as much distance between them as possible. She felt its gaze on her. Sweat rolled down her forehead from tension and panic. She was lucky no one else entered. When the elevator finally reached the first floor, she burst out, back into the same warped world where curved, unnatural walls slowly close in until she ran outside. Out here, it was even worse. Crowds of people and creatures like the one from the elevator stared at her without blinking. She stopped, having no idea where to go, where to find the key to reality. The masses continued to watch her, studying her, loudly discussing something, but now she couldn't understand a word. The language was unlike any earthly one. The sun shone the same red light as in her corridor. Everything was getting worse. She had to run before it was too late. Spotting a path with less activity, she sprinted toward it. Her legs ached, but escape mattered more.
She didn't know where she was going, relying entirely on luck. Anna felt thousands of gazes on her, tendrils reaching out, some bold creatures even trying to grab her. Streets narrowed and widened, people bumped into her, and she barely kept her balance. Breaking free from the crowd, she stepped onto a street that felt slightly more familiar than the others. To be sure, Anna tried to step into the middle of the road. A sudden, searing pain ripped through her body. The crash of impact, screeching brakes, and the crunch of bones merged into one. Unable to move, she lay on the road. A car stopped in front of her. Crowds gathered from all sides. Her strength finally left her. But now, everything made sense. The sun was yellow, shining straight into her eyes. The people crowding around her were ordinary humans, with one pair of eyes, nothing insect-like about them. She lay on ordinary asphalt, in a pool of her ordinary blood. Anna tried to turn her head, but couldn't. Agonizing pain pierced her body. Every organ, every joint screamed. "I'm back," she whispered with her last strength, before her gaze turned glassy forever. People around her fussed and muttered that she was probably drunk or on drugs. After all, who in their right mind would jump in front of a car? The approaching wail of an ambulance siren echoed in the distance. The driver who had hit Anna sat on the crumpled hood of his car, talking to someone on the phone.